What is going on? Welcome to episode 159 of the Nintendo Powercast. I'm your host, N64 Josh. On this very, very special episode, we got a special guest in the Player 2 spot today. Old school, you got to tell, like, I didn't even really ask what you like to go by, man. Like, I know your name is Josh, same as me, but I found you on Instagram. Give us just the shout out right away. What's the Instagram?
Yeah, so I'm OldSchoolGameCollector on Instagram and YouTube. But my name's Joshua. Whatever you feel like call me. If you like to differentiate us, you can call me Joshua, and you can stay Josh. but yeah, man, old school game collector is my name on Instagram.
Awesome. Very cool. Very cool. Well, guys, that music you just heard was from On Being Human. You can check them out on Spotify and YouTube. Remember, this is an unofficial Nintendo podcast. And if you'd like to get yourself a free book from Audible, go to audibletrial.com/NPC. Pick up something awesome like Console Wars or Ready Player One. The chair I'm sitting in's from Opseat. You can save yourself $10 at checkout by going to n64josh.com/Opseat. And if you'd like to get yourself an extra podcast for just $1, go to patreon.com/N64Josh. With that, we are going to just jump right into the interview. So here we go.
Here we go. That was really good, dude.
Yeah.
That's why I don't podcast. I don't know if you were reading that or if it was memorized, but whatever it was, that was awesome, dude.
Well, I say it about 3 or 4 times a week already. So, it's just kind of in my brain. But so basically I was on Instagram and was looking through the gaming section and came across a bunch of your stuff and, dropped a few likes, dropped a couple comments, and then I was like, I'm just going to shoot this guy a message. Like, once I saw the beard and all the Nintendo stuff, I was like, is this my brother from another mother? Like, what's going on here? So I just thought, hey, what the heck? Let's see. And you were like, yeah, let's do it. So that was yesterday. And here we are today. We only had an hour of technical difficulties trying to get Discord to work. We're actually on Skype, which I never use, but hey, we're doing
I had to
it.
update it. Yeah, because I haven't used Skype in 5 years.
Right.
But mama, we made it.
Yeah, we even have the same mug. I'm not using it currently, but I have the same Super Nintendo mug. So like,
oh, nice, man.
Let's just start. If you guys are just listening, if you're not watching this, there is, what'd you say, 15? Well, now 16. You just opened a complete in-box GameCube, right? Is there 16 consoles behind you now?
Yeah, I don't actually know the number, but yeah. So I have a custom Sega Genesis, a Dreamcast, Super Nintendo. I have the regular OG Genesis with 32X and Sega CD attached.
Nice.
I have a black GameCube, a PS1, a regular Nintendo, the old school Nintendo. I have the Donkey Kong Nintendo 64, the green Fantastic.
Yeah,
man. And then I just got this complete in box. I think you can see it. If you're listening, you can't see it, obviously. But this challenge set I just got last week. Complete in box, and I just opened a GameCube, the Platinum Edition. There's a lot in here, man. And this is so my office is like my retro area, and then like my living room has like my Xbox One, PS4, Switch, and people may hate this, but I also have my Retron out there because I like playing some of my old stuff in HDMI on my big TV. So
do people hate the Retron? I don't know. Is
that
a thing?
It's just not, it's not like, it's not a CRT TV. So it's not the way it was meant to look. And when you take like an 8-bit image and you spread it out to a 65-inch, HD TV, it just can look pretty bad. That's why I like, I'm terrible with aspect ratios, but I think it's 16:9, right? Is like, yeah, so that's why like the Genesis collection, we were talking about that earlier, that just came out on the Switch. That's why that like shrinks in the screen and allows you to kind of see it
to 4:3. Yeah, so and I don't know if this is the case for every TV, but like for my 60-inch Samsung, I can change the picture size to 4:3 so that when I hook up a system to an old system, because the 64, man, you stretch that mud out and it's so bad, so
terrible.
But I just ordered today limited run games. They sent an email out saying they had you have to have the original Super Nintendo, not the newer model, but the original one, and it's an HDMI adapter for it. and it was $30.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
that is super awesome.
Yeah, the picture looks great because there's. I've got the little classic, right? It hooks up, no problem. But like, I want to be able to play Turtles in Time and some stuff like that on stream, And I've never played Chrono Trigger, so I really want to get that and play that.
Turtles in Time, bro. It's sitting on my desk. Seriously, obviously everyone has an opinion, but I think Turtles in Time is the greatest beat 'em up of all time. There's no beat 'em up I like more. I do love the Simpsons arcade game just because Marge gets to hit people with her vacuum cleaner. And that's pretty dope. But Turtles in Time is my favorite. Like, still to this day, man, playing Turtles in Time beat 'em up is the best.
Oh yeah,
I just love it,
dude. It's cool. I mean, I spent so much time with Turtles 2, the arcade game, that like. Not that I don't like, I love Turtles in Time, but I think it's just the amount of time I spent. That was the first game I ever like stayed up all night and like watched the sun come up while I was like defeating Shredder for like the 10th time.
Well, I mean? You're wise for skipping the first one and not breaking NES controllers while you're trying to make it through the freaking water level,
dude,
which is the worst level ever.
Yeah, the dam, right? Having to do the bombs. Like, I had it down.
And the electric seaweed.
Yeah, oh, dude. As a kid, though, I was like, I mean, you had very few game options for me. Anyway, I had very few game options. So it was like, okay,
you're gonna beat it.
I got Turtles. I got all the way to the Technodrome. That was the furthest I ever made it. And but due to religious parents, I only had a 45-minute playtime of. So it was like, okay, I can leave this on and hope that it's, my mom doesn't shut it off or, and that was it. And it was like, you want
to hear one of the, so this is a great story that someone posted on my Instagram, maybe a year ago, but I was asking essentially like biggest memories growing up with retro video games. So like the NES or the Super Nintendo, and a guy inboxed me. This is amazing, man. He said he was only allowed to have like one game at a time. His parents would buy him a game. And the only way they would buy him a new game is if he beat that game. Well, you want to know? I think he said the second or third game his parents ever bought him was Super Ghouls and Ghosts. like arguably the top 10 hardest video games of all time. And then you beat the game and it goes, psych, you got to beat the whole freaking game one more time to actually beat it. And he said, needless to say, he had 2 or 3 Super Nintendo games for like ever. Like he never got to get another one. I was like, your parents definitely did some research and they knew. Yeah. I'm going to give you the hardest game ever so we don't have to spend more money on video games. Isn't that ridiculous, dude? Dude,
so probably the hardest game that I completed on Super Nintendo was Super Empire Strikes Back. That was and I got that on Christmas Eve and I played it all the way till 5 a.m. that next morning. And and then we had to leave for a trip or something. So like I didn't get to play it again for like a week. So I'm like, I got to get this in, And it was like you'd get to the second world or whatever, the second part of Hoth, and it was like game over. Okay, let's.
All 3 of those were pretty tough, man.
Yeah, they were brutal. They were brutal. So let's kind of just take a trip down memory lane here. Like we'll kind of get to know you, get just your gaming history, that kind of stuff. Like where did it start with you? And it's okay if it's not Nintendo. Like I mean, if it was Atari, the arcades, that kind of stuff. Like where did it all begin?
Yeah, so it all began with Nintendo, man. And I have like faint memories of it, but we actually have some old video footage of me playing my Nintendo. But it was 1990. I was 4 years old, and we had opened all of our Christmas presents, and there was not a Nintendo under the tree. And after we had finished opening them all, my dad was like, "Oh, you know what? I think your grandma has one more gift for y'all." And I have an older brother. Okay. And my dad brings out this last gift, and man, lo and behold, we opened up the regular NES, the Nintendo action set. So like we had the Zapper and Duck Hunt, and man, that day was the first day I ever played a video game.
Gray or orange?
Dude, I think mine's gray. I have it in my. Oh no, it's not. It's orange. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I won't judge you. I won't judge you.
Yeah, I had the orange. So yeah, that was like my first time ever. I still remember like playing Mario Brothers that Christmas, and we have video of like me like this, this close to the TV because I was just so enamored by Mario. So that was my first game ever. My first console ever was an NES when I was 4 years old. And the really cool thing is, man, I still have that exact NES to this day. So I never got rid of it. It's still mine. It's the one that's set up behind me that I play with. So yeah, that was my first foray into video games. It was the NES. But after that, my dad and I there was a bowling alley by my house. And we would go there, and that's where I would play arcade games. But to be honest, for a long time, it was really pinball. Like I remember probably around junior high, Jurassic Park came out, and I played so much freaking Jurassic Park pinball. But those are some of my earliest memories of gaming. But no, Nintendo was the first company that ever had my heart. I'm 32, so I was kind of like right after Atari. In that era, and I didn't have a Sega Genesis as a little kid because my friend did. So we kind of like, I was the Nintendo guy, he was the Sega guy, and we would like switch off who was going to play at whose house.
Oh,
you know?
yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I did something very similar. I had a buddy who he had everything. Like they lived on like this massive horse ranch. Like it was like, okay. Gosh. Yeah. So it was, that was the place to go. 'Cause it was like, yeah, we're never getting bored here, Yeah, and his mom never kicked us outside. That was the beauty of it. She never. Awesome. She was
you
like
have a 45-minute religious parent telling you to.
Yep,
that's awesome. So my friend right down the road, man, I still remember this, and to this day, it's like I've only seen like a CIB one time in good condition. Jaguar, an Atari Jaguar.
Oh, okay.
And that's like the system I would love to get one day and like have. But I still remember my buddy had the Atari Jaguar. No one did. Like it was just not a thing.
I've never even seen one.
Dude, and the amount of hours that we played Mutant Football League was just insane. But so I still remember like the Atari Jaguar when I was a little kid too. And dude, it was a dope system. I think it was just a little before its time, if I remember right. So it just didn't do well. It obviously absolutely tanked, but you need to Google it just to see what the box looks like. The box is so awesome.
Well, I remember the commercials. I remember seeing it in gaming magazines, like the chat pad on the controller and stuff, like,
yeah. And
so, but never, I mean, nobody I knew had one. Like I probably saw one in Toys R Us maybe, but it was, like it wasn't Nintendo. And I was like, once I got my NES, all my love for Atari went away. Kind of like it was like, all right, that was fun, but it's not Mario. I have a sickness. No, I get it. I have a sickness. So what were some of your favorite games from back in that time? Like on the NES. What were some of your favorites?
Yeah, so obviously there's the typical answers, right? I think my favorite Mario of all time is the fake Mario. So Doki Doki Panic,
Love
Mario
it,
2. It's my favorite Mario of all time.
Guys, this I'm telling you, I literally think we were separated at birth, me and this guy.
Dude, this is really cool. I'll show you for the video chat so you can see it. So this girl in Denmark just made this. I don't know if you can see it well.
That's awesome,
but she handmade it. It's a 3D shadow box of Super Mario Brothers 2. So Super Mario Brothers 2 is to this day, my favorite Mario game of all time. It's the game I still go back to and I play frequently. It just does not get old. Even the music to me is like the best. So Mario 2 was like my jam. I loved like Tecmo Super Bowl was a super fun game, except for when people picked Bo Jackson, you wanted to kill them.
Sweep, right?
yeah, dude, it was ridiculous. So yeah, I loved DuckTales. I was a huge DuckTales fan. Pretty much. I
swear, you're literally just describing my childhood right now. Keep going. I'm just curious what's going to be next.
Dude, I love Darkwing Duck. Like Darkwing Duck was one of my favorites. And then, I had Ghouls and Ghosts, which was always just depressing because I realized how sucky I was at video games. And man, I'll be honest, I'm one of those guys who I really loved Mega Man, but I was so bad at Mega Man. And So I still like have like some nostalgia with Mega Man, especially Mega Man 2. But I was never really any good at it. I literally have a few games right in front of me. So I was a huge fan of Adventure Island.
Oh yeah.
Even though honest, so I did a review of it on my YouTube page. It's really not that great of a game when you go back to it, man. I think nostalgia can cover a multitude of sins. So there's a lot of games that I look back at that are still fond. I'll give you an example. I loved Gremlins 2. But that is strictly because I had an Albertsons, maybe like 3 miles from my house, which is an old grocery store. And they had this itty bitty video section. And once a week, I think it was Wednesdays or Fridays, you could rent a game for a day for $1. And I rented Gremlins 2 over and over and over and over, mostly because I just really love that movie. So yeah, that's a few of them. I have really fond memories of right next to me actually is still like my original copy of Final Fantasy, the original. Which again, like you go back and play that game now, it's a little freaking ridiculous. So like if I remember correctly, the very last level of the game, you have to fight 4 bosses before the main boss, and you can't like go back, like you got to keep doing it. It was just ridiculous. But I have like my original boxed copy of it from when I was a little kid. Final Fantasy is like my favorite franchise of all time. But yeah, man, those are a few of them.
That's where we differ right there, because I've never
RPGs at all.
I mean, Pokemon Yellow and Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So those are the 2 I've completed.
Dude, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was really, really good.
Oh, I loved it, man. I love it. Yeah. But like they always mess with me in my community and stuff, because like I typically don't pay attention during tutorials. I'm just like just tapping A, like
one to skip.
Come on, let's get out of here. I had not created any orbs, right? Even in chat right now, Kirby's saying he doesn't know how to read, right? So they're trying to teach me. But yeah, so I didn't know how to make orbs. So I would get to a boss and I'm like, oh, I'm 2 under leveled. And I would just go grind and get like 10 more levels, and then come back and then finally beat it. And at some point, somebody in my Twitch chat was like, how come you're not creating orbs? I'm like, you're not even speaking English to me right now. What are you talking about? So
yeah, that game's, I mean, a lot more complicated than it looks on the surface. There's a lot going on. And the truth is, dude, I played 84 hours. I still haven't beaten it. So I'm 84 hours in and still haven't finished the game.
Oh, you got to complete that one, man. Like,
yeah, I know.
It's good, dude. It's good. And then once I learned how to do the orbs, I was even that much more into that game. I was like, oh, the battle system is so much more complex. And like, because at first I was like, why am I not swinging my sword? Like, what is wrong with this game? Like what is the deal here? And then it all kind of made sense. So,
but oh, that's awesome.
So how about the I'm looking at, like, I kind of have, he's going to be our featured, one of our featured creators guys on n64josh.com. And so I have my little notes here. I'm kind of cheating, but it says the SNES is your favorite console of all time. So let's talk about, like, was that another Christmas kind of deal, or?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's no rival to the Super Nintendo for me. I think it's the greatest console of all time. Part of that probably has to do with our difference of opinion on RPGs. I think it's the greatest RPG era of video game history. A lot of people will argue the PS1 because it had some really, really great RPGs as well. But yeah, man, the Super Nintendo was like the console that stole my heart. I think probably part of that has to do with I probably got it when I was around like 8 or 9. So, and I think that's kind of like the sort I'm looking for. It's like that perfect age of, you can understand it. Right. I think, at 4, I just, I'd fall and die and be like, oh, I'm bored. I'm going to go play outside.
Right.
But I think like 8 to 13 is when I had my Super Nintendo. Maybe a little later, because I think I got my Nintendo 64 when I was like 14 or 15. But I remember just, yeah, man, that era, first of all, probably arguably the greatest box-in game of all time, Super Mario World. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a perfect game, really. Like, the game is so amazing. So the fact that like a console would even be bundled with that at launch was like mind-boggling. So that game just captured my heart. But again, I love RPGs. So like Chrono Trigger, Secret of Mana. Final Fantasy 3/6 is probably in my top 5 favorite video games of all time. I freaking love Breath of Fire 1 and 2. True story, dude, to this day, I've never played past number 2 because the 16-bit era was so good. I think 3 came out on the maybe the PS1. I can't remember. I think it's PS1.
I see.
So yeah, man, that era of games. I remember even like people were ripping the game Doom to shreds because it was just so bad on console. And I was like, I don't care. It's a red cartridge. It's the coolest thing ever, like
right.
And I think if I remember correctly, it was like $10 extra. I think it was more expensive than any Nintendo game on the market. But even like the movie tie-in games back then were great. Like I loved Lion King, which was hard as crap.
Yeah.
I loved Aladdin. So
Batman Returns.
Yeah. Oh, and dude, I'm gonna get in trouble here too. That may be up there with my favorite Batman movie of all time. So I'm a huge Tim Burton and Danny Elfman fan. So pretty much anything Danny Elfman does the score for, I'll be into the movie. So, yeah. But yes, that game is freaking fantastic.
So did that game blow your mind when you first run into Selena Kyle and she's being held hostage by that clown, and if you shoot the wall with your grappling hook, you can pull the wall out on him and it takes almost all of his health away?
Oh, dude, I'll be honest, I don't remember. But that's awesome.
Because that's how it happens in the movie, right? Like,
yeah.
And so I was like, I wonder if this, because the first few times I played it, I just fought him like normal, and it takes forever, and it's your typical like, final fight. Yeah, and it just their health bar is in purple, and then it turns green, and then it finally hits yellow, and then slowly moves down. Well, if you shoot that grappling hook and you'll pull a huge chunk of wall out, and it'll smack him in the back and take his health to yellow right away, and then it's just a real quick battle. I was like, this is the most amazing thing ever. Like, I don't need anything else at this point.
Yeah, I love it, man. And then Lufia 2 is an old RPG that was to this day is one of my favorite games. I just completed it again this last year, and I remember why I loved it so much. So anyways, yeah, that like.
What about like Super Metroid?
Games.
Like Super Metroid?
Yeah, I love Super. This is very shameful of me. Super Metroid is the last Metroid game I've ever played. I never played any Metroid Prime game, and I feel so like there's so much shame to say like you're an old school game collector.
We gotta go. This is done. I gotta go.
I know, dude. It's bad. It's really bad.
No, it's okay. Look, everybody that listens to this is always disappointed by the games I've never played. So you're in good company, my friend. You're in good company.
There's so many good games, man. Like, right. You'll never get to them all. It's just not possible. But yeah man. And to this day, again, probably not popular opinion, I think Super Mario Kart's the greatest Mario Kart of all time. I'll never forget like those 4 levels that you could play in battle mode, and I played so many hours of battle mode on Super Mario Kart. I love that game, and I know they've improved it, and there's great ones. Mario Kart 8 is a great game, and I think Double Dash is kind of like the unanimous. People think that's like the greatest Mario Kart of all time, but Super Mario Kart, man, it's where my heart lies. Donkey Kong Country, probably one of the greatest soundtracks of all time.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
but man, there's so many great games. The first Star Fox game.
Yep.
Do you remember like the FX chip?
Oh,
like
yeah,
that blew everybody's mind. Yeah, like so good, man. F-Zero.
Yeah. You can just talk about Star Fox on the playground with like all the Sega kids. You're like, oh, do you have anything like that? Oh, you don't? Oh, you have blast processing. Too bad it can't do this. Now you look at it, you're like, it kind of doesn't look that great, but it was super fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then I think I told you this earlier, and we were going through 56 minutes of problem solving to get this friggin' podcast working.
Right.
Which most of it was probably my fault in internet connections. But all of that to say, I've been going back and playing like the Sega Genesis collection on the Switch. It's like 16-bit era, man. And I'm addicted to Shining Force right now. I beat Shining Force, the first one, in 2 days. Like during my like Christmas holiday, and now I'm on Shining Force 2. If your listeners have never played those games and they like Fire Emblem, those kind of like tactical RPGs, man, or like Final Fantasy Tactics, Shining Force is so good. So good. It's really good, man.
Yeah, I jumped into that that collection, and to me, I immediately went to like Shinobi and Sonic and stuff.
Yeah.
Like Gunstar Heroes was like, yes. Of course, the only game I want on there that doesn't make it was General Chaos. That's like my favorite Sega game. It's so good. Like,
I don't even know what it is.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't, and it's kind of one of those. To me, it's one of those tactical, like those kind of those strategy. Like you have 5 different characters, and it's kind of based. I would say like it's kind of like 80s, like Rambo. That was kind of the time period. But then you had one guy that looked like Rambo that had a machine gun that was short range. So you had to get him within 2 spaces of the enemy. You had a guy with a flamethrower, but if you walked through the water, when he got out, he'd shoot bubbles instead of his flamethrower. Right. But then when he caught somebody on fire, just their lower section burned and they just looked down like what? And so the graphics are really goofy. Like definitely check it out. Like it's one of those ones that like I'm always looking for. I finally found it in one of my stores, but it was like an import, and I'm like, no, I want the original. Like I want the. But I was
awesome, man.
I was
hoping,
like
kind of game.
Come on, get on there, but nope, it didn't make it. I don't even know who made it or anything. It was just one of those random games. Like my rental store had it, and so we would rent it all the time when I would hang out with my buddy. So
that's awesome.
But so where'd it go from Super Nintendo then? I'm guessing just 64, GameCube, all kind of just down the line.
Yeah, but 64 was kind of where my love for Nintendo started to kind of take a split. My memories of the 64 were, so my friends were getting it before I did. Growing up, we just didn't have a ton of money, and so we were always very late to the console game. So I had friends who had Nintendo 64. I still remember, man, like one of my good buddies got it launch, and I think launch it only had 3 games, right? It was like the worst launch in the history of Nintendo. It had Super Mario 64, Pilot Wings, and maybe one other game, and I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I don't even remember. Like it was pretty small.
I know for certain it was Mario 64 and Pilot Wings.
Yeah, those are the 2 I remember as well.
Yeah, and my buddy got it, and so I remember like he got it like opening week, and I went and stayed the night over there, and bro, I freaking love Pilot Wings. I played so much of that game. Which is ridiculous. Like, who would ever thought like a simulator of me in a rocket pack or an airplane would be a cool game? But I really liked Pilot Wings. So that was like first memory. Second memory was I'm not sure what year in the console's life that GoldenEye came out, but I remember my buddy getting GoldenEye, split screen at his house, and then finally my uncle worked for a pawn shop. And my mom came home one day with a Nintendo 64 and Super Mario 64.
Yes.
And man, Super Mario 64 was mind blowing back then. Like, and dude, I'll tell you, worst memory I will never forget, which to this day makes my blood boil. I had 120 stars, beat the game, and my sister deleted my game file. And I'll never forget it, man. And it's one of those things where sometimes that'll really, really tick you off. And then there's like games that are special, like that one, where it kind of makes you excited that you can go back and do it again.
So I just beat that game for the first time last year.
Oh my goodness, man. Did you love it?
The controls were, like after playing Odyssey and stuff, it was like, okay, the camera kind of sucks sometimes.
And that, like, if I remember correctly, dude, I think that game was delayed almost 2 full years because like Miyamoto wanted to redo the controls. He was such a perfectionist about the camera, and it just wasn't working up to his standards. So I think they like pushed it and pushed it and pushed it.
Oh yeah, they delayed the release of the console because of him wanting to get that game. Perfect, give it a little more time in the oven, So
yeah, I think that era. Oh, sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, similar thing happened to me. My little brother erased my Donkey Kong Country that was at like 98%. You know, I had to use that VHS tape, you know, that kid was like, oh, there's some secrets on here.
Oh gosh, that stinks, man.
Yeah.
You know, and again, probably pretty unpopular opinion. I just think out of I love my Nintendo 64. I still have great memories with it. I think out of all the consoles out there, it in my opinion, it aged the worst. It's one of the hardest consoles to go back and play those games because it was so polygonal. It's just tough. Like, that's a tough system for me to go back. I have a lot of nostalgia with it, but it's not necessarily my favorite console to go. Like, most weeks I'm not like, man, I want to boot up my N64 and play Mario 64 again. You know, like, I'm like, no, I'm going to boot up Mario 2 or Mario 3 and I'm going to play that. So, but again, that's when I deviated. That's when, like, I went PS1 and N64 and I fell in love with the PlayStation 1. So still stayed a Nintendo guy, still am to this day. But that was when I first started getting PlayStation. I've gotten a PlayStation every console generation since as well.
Interesting. I mean, I can kind of see that, especially being into RPGs. I mean, the 64 was kind of lacking in that department, if I remember correctly, right?
Terrible. Yeah, I mean, maybe one of the worst consoles in history. Quest 64 is one of the worst games ever created. So
tell me how you really feel. No, really, tell me.
It's so bad, man. It's so. If I meet someone who thinks Quest 64 is a bad game, like, it's like someone telling me that they don't love The Office. I'm like, I'm suspect of your character and we can't be friends. But no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it was bad. And a lot of that had to do with Nintendo completely ticked off all those developers, man. Yeah. So none of them went to the N64 and they all went to the PlayStation. So, but yeah, the PS1, I think I said this earlier, like, arguably Super Nintendo best era of RPGs. I think the PlayStation 1 would maybe be the next argument there. Final Fantasy VII alone would probably win it for most people, but I'd argue it's not the greatest Final Fantasy. But I don't want to open up that floodgate right now and get hate mail.
What's your Twitter? Because they're gonna come after you.
Can you remove that from the podcast? This is live crap. You probably just got like people commenting already saying I hate him. And don't get me wrong, I love Final Fantasy VII, but it doesn't matter. If you tell people that's not your favorite, it's like you just murdered their mother. You know, like, oh my goodness.
I've never played it, so I have no dog in this fight. Like,
oh, cool. Well, but if you do play a PlayStation 1 era, play Final Fantasy IX. It is a very special game. So good, man.
I did get that. I got that PS1 Classic or whatever. I got it real cheap at Target, so that was the only reason I picked it up.
There's 2 good games on it, so have fun. You know, a piece of hardware sucks bad when it gets lowered in price by $40 in the first like 6 weeks, right? Like, oh man. No, there's some good games on there. I have mine right next to me, actually. I haven't even opened it. But
that's the best way to keep it, probably. Just don't open it.
And the truth is, man, like, I probably own all of these games, but the real copies. Right. So I'm just like, I don't even know, except for Jumping Flash. What the frick is that? You're the PlayStation 1 and you put Mr. Driller and you put Jumping Flash on your greatest hits. Like, anyways, I don't get it. Wild Arms is fantastic, though. It's a great game. But this isn't a PlayStation podcast.
Super Nintendo from the chat says Final Fantasy series has way too much reading for N64, Josh.
Dude, and especially I said play 9, don't play 9. That's like all dialogue. But it's a great game. That's awesome. Too much reading. If you played Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I'm proud of you, man. That's a lot. But I guess there's voice acting. That's what got you.
I loved it, dude. I loved it. Yeah. Like, it was Don't Forget Me, you know, by the power of friendship. Like, those things will forever be drilled in my mind. Yeah. So yeah. You know, then GameCube. I mean, GameCube PS2. Like, I mean.
Yeah, so I went PS2 first, and I'll tell you this is well,
it was out first, right? That was out like a year.
Yeah. So, but I was a PS2. That's what I was waiting for. You know what I mean? Like, when they announced GameCube, they like that took up less real estate in my mind for excitement. I just didn't. But I'll tell you this. This is I remember buying it. And I remember the moment. And I was in I grew up in Sarasota, Florida. I was walking the mall. And I walked by an EB Games at the time, I believe. I don't think it was GameStop yet. It was EB Games, and in the like display window was Wind Waker. It had just come out, and I was like, man, that cell shaded art is right up my alley. And I walked into GameStop. I asked how much a GameCube was. I didn't have enough cash, and a guy walked in to trade in his GameCube. And this is so tool bag of me. I just looked at the guy and I was like, look, I'll pay you $10 more than whatever they're going to give you for trade-in. I'll buy it from you right now. And no joke, that guy followed me to an ATM at the mall. I got the cash out and I bought his GameCube in Wind Waker. So that's how I got it. Wind Waker pretty much sold me on the console as a whole. So that was how I got my GameCube. Wind Waker.
Man. Hey, I love that game.
So
like,
cool. If it wasn't EB Games or GameStop, I wouldn't have done that. If it's like a local game store, like I'm gonna let them get the love. But when it's the Walmart of video games, screw you. I'm getting the GameCube. So
well, there goes that sponsor. Sale. Sorry, guys.
Oh no,
no, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. I'm joking.
Oh god. Oh man, I just got fired from a podcast I don't even run. So, anyways, yeah. So that's how I got my GameCube, man. It was like strictly for Wind Waker at the time. Now I still have the one that I bought. That's why I never played Metroid Prime. I just never really got into the GameCube. And if people out there find me on Instagram and want to give me a list of games to go for that'll sell me on it, please do, because I'll buy them and I'll play them and try to give it a go. But even though I just got that platinum GameCube that you saw me open right before we started this podcast. So,
yeah, we know. So, GameCube seems like it wasn't too much for you, and then that's fine. I mean, the PS2. I mean that system was. I mean,
unbelievable.
A lot of people loved it. I remember like when it launched, and like that was right around the time of eBay, and people were reselling those things for like $800 to $1,000 on eBay. It was nuts. So, I mean, did the Wii do anything for you then?
So I got one at launch, which was really hard to come by. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh yeah, it took me a year.
Yeah, it was sold out everywhere for a really, really long time. And I can't remember exactly what made me buy it, but I do remember that I had like maybe had just started dating the person I'm married to now. We've been married 10 years. And that I thought to myself, this is maybe a console we could play together. That was like my thinking at the time. And sure enough, man, it was genius. Like putting Wii Sports in there was gold because you like the fact that it was just natural hand motions to what you would want to do anyways. What a brilliant way to sell a console, right? Like, oh, how do I hit the baseball? I'm going to swing it like a baseball bat, So I went for the Wii, and I'll tell you this too, man. I think Super Mario Galaxy is probably my second favorite Mario game of all time.
So good.
And I like it. And I like it more than the sequel, which is, I know that's a little weird for people as well. The first one was to me was just magic. Like I remember playing it and just being so into it. I think, did the first Pikmin come out on the Wii? I think I was into Pikmin as well on the Wii.
The second one did.
Or GameCube, second one. Yeah. But they did a re-release, right? There was like a re-release with Wii controls.
I believe you're correct. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's the first time I played the original Pikmin. So yeah, I was into the Wii. I still have mine, and every once in a while, my wife and I played one of the Mario parties a little while back, but my wife's just not much of a gamer. So to get her to play a game that she's into, man, like I'll go for it, right? Like that's a game that I'll pick up. So like we play Bubble Bobble together. That's our favorite. That's my wife's favorite game of all time. Tetris.
Oh yeah.
And then there were like some Wii games. There was this really weird one called, do you remember the game Elebits?
Oh, that name kind of sounds familiar, but I don't know that I played it.
Yeah. Good. You shouldn't. No, it was like essentially there were like these little creatures that were hiding in places of a house, and you like were the trigger and you pointed at them, and it was like a point and click pretty much. But I remember like playing hours of that with my girlfriend / now wife. But So the Wii was pretty much, I only got it because it was simple. And so I don't have a ton of great memories with that either. And the weird thing is, dude, I got really back on board with Nintendo with the Wii U, which was a terrible mistake because it sold 13 million units and was a travesty. But I still kind of love the games on the Wii U, man. Like that kind of brought me back into Nintendo. And then Switch, I have been all in, all in.
Yeah,
I love it.
Dude, the Wii U was amazing. Like, I know a lot of people, to me, it was like, when I got that system and we started playing some of the Mario games and everything, it was like, this really felt like it was getting close. Other than the gamepad was a little bit strange having that. But then when you played games like Nintendo Land or games that really utilized that gamepad
that was
well,
great.
it was really good. Then you had games like Star Fox that you were like, why? Why are you like, come on, you should know better at this point.
Yeah. Super Mario 3D World was unbelievable. And dude, I'll take that one step further. I think Super Mario 3D Land for the 3DS is one of the greatest Mario titles of all time. I wish that they could put that on like a console so more people have a chance to play that game. Because I'm telling you, if you've never played Super Mario 3D Land, it's the last time I played a Mario game. That it came out on a Sunday, which is weird. I still remember. So I was heading home from work. I work at a church. I was leaving my work. I picked up Super Mario 3D Land. I have a love sack. I don't know if you know what that is, but they're weird. And I promise that's not an expletive. But I really do. I have a love sack. And I sat down on my love sack with my 3DS, Super Mario 3D Land. And I played from 1 p.m. till I freaking went to sleep. That game is so good. But Super Mario 3D Land and Super Mario 3D World are both fantastic. I think it's a little weird that they're putting what is like Super Mario Deluxe comes out this week, right? Or
on the 11th.
Yeah, and not Super Mario 3D World. I just love 3D World, man. Do you like the Deluxe? Or what is it? I don't even know what it is.
New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. Yeah, I love both of those titles. But here's why. The first one, I want to let you guys know too. I forgot to do it in the announcements this week or on this episode. But my wife and I are going to be streaming that game through to completion, and like she will kill me continually and then die laughing right next to me, and I'm stuck in the bubble and she can't compose herself to pop me to get me out of the bubble. So I'm just like, come on, so we played all the way through that and loved it okay. And can't wait to jump back in again. But then my daughter was 6, my youngest, when she completed she needed my help for the final boss in 3D World. That was her first game that she was totally addicted to and had to play all the way through. And so both of those games for me are like they're must owns. And I can't imagine that 3D World won't be on the Switch. I think that getting the 2D Mario, since Odyssey has done so well, I think getting the 2D Mario was probably a good choice, especially this time of year. For sure. There could be, come late summer, real like early fall, that kind of stuff. There could be a spot for 3D World, or they may use it for next January. Like it may be, Mario's going to sell, right? So if they throw it in that January spot, it's like, it's people that have never played it, which is a lot of people, are in for a good time.
I posted on my, which was super interesting. I don't know if you see this, but I posted on my Instagram maybe a few days ago now, just a mock artwork of Super Mario Galaxy for the Switch.
That's the photo that I first found you on, right there.
Yeah. And dude, like 448 comments, like people want that. So if they imagine if, and I don't think Nintendo will do this because they know they'll make money if they separate them. But if they did like a 3D collection.
Oh yeah. Mario All-Stars HD.
Yes, bro. And it was like Super Mario 3D World, Mario Galaxy 1, Mario Galaxy 2. Like, I'm in. I'll pay $60 day one. I'll pre-order that junk with no pre-order bonuses. I just love that. I'm looking up at my Wii U game. That's what I was looking at right now to think like, what were some other ones that I just absolutely loved? Man, you know what game was garbage? You want me to open this floodgate again? Mario Tennis Ultra Smash was the worst. You loved it, didn't you?
No, I bought it at a yard sale for $2, so it's in my collection, but I never played it.
Gosh, don't. It is that was a bad game. But Man, I love the NES remix pack too. That was so much fun. But yeah, so I love the Wii U. I was all in, man. Like that kind of brought me back on Nintendo. And I traveled full time for with music for 6 years. I was a side note. This is really random. I was a Vegas Week finalist on America's Got Talent in 2008. Yeah, true story. Because nothing's better than Pierce Morgan judging you. Cool. And Jerry Springer hosting. What the heck, dude? But it was a free trip to Las Vegas. Yeah, it was awesome. So Pierce Morgan's exact words to me, first song I did is he goes, I like it, but he's quite a bit girly. And I was like, cool, dude. You just call me a girl. Awesome. But so right after
you should have asked him if he wanted to arm wrestle.
Or debate anything because anyways, if you're a Pierce Morgan fan, sorry.
We're sorry.
Not sorry. So we traveled full time for 6 years with music right after that. And man, if the Switch was out during that era, how perfect, you know? Oh, yeah. So I just look back, I'm like, that would be brilliant. So I still travel about 14 to 16 weeks a year with music. Like I leave next week for Pittsburgh and Switch just changed everything, man. Everything. It's changed the game.
Yeah, dude. It's
dude, I was on an airplane like 2 or 3 weeks ago playing Super Smash Brothers. Like unreal that we can do that now, you know?
Is there any games on the Switch that your wife's into?
What have we played together? Man,
Mario Party or Carnival games or anything?
A little bit of Mario Kart.
Okay.
No, man, my wife is just not. It's just not really her cup of tea. Like she's totally cool that it is mine.
Right.
But no, my wife is like she's a reader. She's awesome, but she likes tea and crafts. She's like 90, but she's 32, you know, and a beautiful 32, 90-year-old. But she, yeah, video games aren't her cup of tea, bro. I bought her a Nintendo DS once, the pink one with the Princess Peach game.
Oh yeah.
She played it and liked it, had it in her purse. I think maybe just a couple weeks after I bought it for her. Put a bagel with butter from Panera Bread in her purse. Yeah. And the butter ruined her entire system, went all over it, seeped into the system. Yeah. So last time I ever bought my wife a console, that'll never happen again. But
do you ever wonder, like, when you're looking at, like, because I picked up 2 lots of games. I picked up a Super Nintendo lot, which had Secret of Evermore, which I'm assuming you may like that.
Great game.
Yeah. See, I never even heard of it, but I'm like, it had
dog in the history of video games.
There you go. So it also had Secret of Mana. But I already had that, so I was like, "Oh, this is cool." So Super Nintendo cool is saying butter and milkshakes, and he's like, because his kids poured a chocolate milkshake into his Switch, and so that was before cloud backup, so he lost everything. But I look at like this Super Nintendo that came in this lot. It looks like somebody put a cigarette out on it, like, or somebody tried to light it on fire. Like I always wonder, like, how come it looks like somebody tried to put this game in their sandwich and then
I'm grabbing this,
and I'm like, how does it get like this? How does this happen?
All right, so this is so bad. This is the Atari Video Pinball that came out before the 2600. I got this on OfferUp. I don't know if you can see how atrocious.
Oh yeah, that thing survived the flood.
Like, what did they do? And it smells like that. I don't know why I just sniffed it, because God knows where this has been. But that's
don't let that get so close to your mouth.
Dude, like, and I just don't get it. But isn't there just something kind of awesome though about, like, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I look back, I'm like, I don't know when this came out, 1976, 75. And what did it go through? You know what I mean? Like, it's just a cool thing.
Yeah.
You know, I like my nice boxes, don't get me wrong. Like, I keep mine perfect. But it's cool to find those let go and offer up deals where you find like those consoles that are beat to crap. And well, not the console, the box.
Yeah.
It's fun to look and wonder. My Secret of Evermore box is horrendous because I got it on OfferUp a few years ago.
Okay. Yeah. But I just don't know. I'm like, where do you store your games with your leftovers? Is that what happens here? Like, how do these things get, like, did you get your hands dirty before you changed your game out? Like, sometimes I don't understand. Like,
me either, man.
I don't get it. Like, my hands aren't dirty enough to switch games. Hang on a second. I got to go get some dirt and put barbecue sauce on them first. You know, like, I don't understand. You look at these things and you're like, what is this? It's like, yeah, like there's condiments all over this thing and DNA. Like, what is this?
And DNA. Oh, that's so gross. But man, and then like NES and SNES era of games, like the amount of them that I find with freaking permanent marker on them. But the truth is, like, most people I talk to, it's like their mom made them. Yep. Like my mom made me put my initials on it, and I'm like, your mom is the worst.
So you know the trick to get it off easy, right?
No, I don't.
Oh,
it's easy?
Super easy. There's a few things you can do. Aquanet hairspray and a magic eraser. And if they really are tough, you go over them again with a Sharpie, and it kind of brings the ink back to life, and then you hit them with that Aquanet and that magic eraser. It's gone, dude.
Wow. That's all. Yeah, I have a few. I only probably about 4 or 5 games. I think I have maybe a Wario Land 3 that has like permanent marker. Oh, and I have a Donkey Kong Country 3 that has the name Andrew across the front. So thank you, Andrew.
Yeah.
Thank your mom for selling it.
I think it's actually the dry erase markers. You go over the Sharpie, and that it has something in it. So anyway, I can link you a video that I did. It like really takes them off.
When we travel and you go to retro stores that put stickers on
the stickers,
games, I'm like, what are, and that's, you can blow dryer, right? But like, why would you put a sticker on like a CIB NES game from 1986? Like, why would you do that? 1987. I don't get it, man. Especially if that's your market, like you're selling retro video games,
right?
And you're ruining them. Cool. Sounds about right.
Yeah. So, well, hey man, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
Dude, I thank you so much for reaching out, and it's always so much fun, and I love you're talking about the things that I love so much. I mean, we could talk about this or basketball, and I'm all in. So
right on, man. Right on. Well, tell us again where people can find your Instagram, your YouTube, and stuff. Where they can find it.
Yeah. So my main page that I keep up to date all the time is Instagram.com/OldSchoolGameCollector. No weird spellings. There's no K's in there, anything weird. It's just Old School Game Collector. And then I have a YouTube channel that I do for fun. I just kind of post when I feel like it, but it's youtube.com/OldSchoolGameCollector as well. I have a website that I keep up to date every once in a while too. It's just OldSchoolGameCollector.com. But Instagram is kind of the place where I'm always plugged in. I try to return messages. I try to comment even on everyone's comment just to keep in touch with people, but that's kind of my main page. So Instagram.com/OldSchoolGameCollector.
Okay. Yeah. And guys, go check it out. Go give him a follow. Like, just really cool collection of games and consoles and everything. Like it's really awesome. So go check it out. Highly, highly recommend it. I'll have a link for it in the show notes too, so you guys can find it very, very easily. Guys, you're going to be able to find me on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Farmers Only, all those places. It's N64Josh. And of course, this podcast, if you want to follow it on Twitter, it's at NPowercast. The show notes for this episode will be n64josh.com/NPC159. You can email the show if you got questions or comments. It's NPC at n64josh.com. If you use the hashtag AskNPC on Twitter or Instagram, I will be searching those before we go live on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And so use that hashtag and we'll find your questions, comments, things you want read on the show, just to get a little more community involvement that way. And lastly, guys, if you want to pick up a free book from Audible, go to audibletrial.com/NPC. Again, the chair I'm sitting in is from Opseat. You go to n64josh.com/OPC. You automatically save $10 at checkout. And the Patreon, which the Patreon episodes are going to go out the first Saturday of each month. It's patreon.com/n64josh. Just $1 gets you that extra show. We have an amazing Discord that is... It is blowing up. It's so crazy how many people are in there. We're playing Smash, we're playing Rocket League, we're playing everything. So if you're looking for people to game with, n64josh.com/discord gets you in there. The Facebook group is even growing, is kind of blowing up right now. It's n64josh.com/Facebook group if you want to hang out there, if that's your thing. And then lastly, guys, if you can rate and review on iTunes, I would greatly appreciate it. Josh, thanks again, man. This was a blast.
Yeah, man. Thanks so much for having me. It's been awesome. Also, Rocket League is so good.
Yes,
I love Rocket League.
It is.
Love it, man.
All right, we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye now.
All right, man. It seems like technical difficulties, they kind of all fixed.